Wendell Carter Jr. was on my radar, so I'm right with Garion on that one. But I kind of look at him more as an accent piece if we're trying to think about a forward to actually build around tonight. Miles Bridges is my guy. I know he's been off the last couple games in terms of fantasy production, but he's been still right around 20 actual points. He's going up against the Pacers tonight at 8.2K, and the Pacers are a bottom 10 team in terms of defensive efficiency. And right now, they're without their two best bigs, Miles Turner and Domantas Sabonis. That's going to help Bridges' rebounding numbers, which is where we kind of need that extra boost because obviously, offensively, he's still providing production there.
Let's go guard, and we'll stay with you, Friar. Some of your top options, they all played last night. James Harden absolutely exploded, obviously. DeJounte Murray, because that game was lopsided, was a little bit of a disappointment. Luka Doncic, he busted by, for all intents and purposes. So where are you going? Are you going to pay up, or are you looking at value?
I do have a pay-up option. I do have a value option as well, and they're actually both coming in the same game. Trae Young and Tyrese Halliburton. Halliburton, of course, is dependent on De'Aaron Fox if he doesn't play again tonight. Despite what happened in Boston, I know he had a rough game, a rough showing there from a fantasy perspective, but still, I like him tonight if De'Aaron Fox doesn't play at 7.9K. But Trae Young is absolutely my top option tonight at 10.4K. The 5 highest price guards are all in good spots. I know, Adam, you were talking a little bit about the struggles of some of the guys the other night, but Trae Young, Harden, Morant, Doncic, and Murray. In that order is how I like those guys right now for the highest price options because the Kings, they struggle defensively against opposing point guards. This has the highest total as of right now on DK Sportsbook. When I last checked, the Nets-Nuggets total wasn't there, but I'm sure that's going to be pretty high. Both of these teams are not at all efficient on the defensive end, and this is a pace-up spot for the Hawks too. So Trae Young is my number one guy tonight.
Whalen, where are you looking at guard?
Yeah, I really like Trae Young at that price, 10,400. Great matchup against Sacramento. Obviously, the Kings coming off of that 50-plus point loss last night. I think it's a pretty bad back-to-back, or an unfortunate back-to-back, I guess. Tough spot to kind of regroup and come back from that one. So I think the Hawks are in a great spot. Trae Young's in a great spot. I think Chris Paul also in a pretty good spot against a Utah team that normally you don't target, but, with no Mitchell, no Gobert, not as fearsome of a rim protector there. For CP3, so I think he's a pretty good deal at 9,000. I assume Garion's going to mention DeJounte Murray. I don't love him as much as I normally do. Tough back-to-back for San Antonio, one of several teams on a back-to-back. So I think I'm going to resist the urge and probably not have a lot of DeJounte Murray lineups tonight. And then if you're choosing at the top of the board, I think I would pick Luka to bounce back against Portland tonight at 11,100 over James Harden, who's a little more expensive at 11,500. I mean, monster night for Harden last night against the Lakers. He looked awesome. But again, difficult back-to-back for the Brooklyn Nets. And, he kind of has to be the one-man show. And obviously he's been good at that throughout his career. But if you read that Bleacher Report piece yesterday, it doesn't really sound like that's what he wants to do anymore. So I think last night probably a little bit of a frustration game for James Harden. I don't know if he can do it twice in a row.
Gary, you've got some good relative paydown options at guard, too, whether it's Cole Anthony or LaMelo Ball, somebody like that. Who stands out to you?
Yeah, I think if there's one guy, he's already been mentioned twice, so I won't spend too long on Trae Young, but, it's Sacramento. They are a team that just does not seem to be caring right now in many facets of the game, but one of those facets is defense. They have the worst defensive rating in the league by a pretty wide margin their last 10 games, so it's not surprising Atlanta has the highest implied team total on this slate by a pretty significant margin. So Trae Young should have one of his better games. I know he's been struggling to reach value the past month or so, but I think this is one of those nights where he breaks out. The other guy I'm sort of honing in on above 8K, I think Karis LeVert. He's really just the last clear offensive option that Indiana has, and fantastic matchup against Charlotte. Charlotte, under most circumstances, doesn't play defense. Charlotte on a back-to-back, oh boy. Karis LeVert really could have his way with this defense in an up-tempo matchup. So I think 8,600 is a really nice price to pay for someone who I would be shocked if you look at the box score tonight and he doesn't have at least 20 field goal attempts.